A few days ago, the US announced some policies aimed at suppressing China's semiconductor industry. These policies include the following: for companies that receive subsidies under the CHIP Act, their investment in mainland China's 28 nanometers or more advanced process capacity cannot exceed $100,000 within 10 years. In addition, companies that receive US subsidies cannot increase the production capacity of their 28 nanometers or more mature process chips located in mainland China by more than 10%. If they want to establish new factories for these types of chips, at least 85% of the production capacity must be consumed locally. Moreover, the US BIS also plans to include some subsidiaries of Chinese IT groups on its entity list to further restrict these groups' access to high-performance chips from US companies. The US has also put 19 Chinese companies on its Unverified List, and US manufacturers must conduct more due diligence before shipping goods to these companies. I can't remember how many rounds of sanctions the US has imposed, but its policies to restrict China's semiconductor and electronic information industry are becoming increasingly refined and targeted. In addition to local companies, the US government has also been urging semiconductor industry-developed countries and regions in Europe and East Asia to form an alliance to contain China's semiconductor industry. From last year's Chip 4 to recent efforts to woo semiconductor equipment manufacturers in Europe and Japan to further limit exports of advanced equipment to China. However, neither of these plans has achieved the desired results for the US. Instead, the US is struggling to digest all the consequences it has brought upon itself. So, what are the side effects of US sanctions for itself? Okay, that and more is exactly what we are going to talk about. In recent years, China has become a target, mainly because of its rapid development of the semiconductor and electronic information industry. Therefore, from ZTE in 2018, Huawei in 2019, to countless Chinese companies today, the US has continued to suppress China's semiconductor and electronic information industry. What's more critical is that compared to mainland China, the US semiconductor industry's high-end advantage is gradually diminishing. And in the development of information industries such as 5G, China even has a trend of surpassing the US. At the same time, decades of globalization have caused the disappearance of the US's domestic low and medium-end electronic semiconductor manufacturing industry, while the Greater China region has formed a very complete semiconductor manufacturing industry chain of high, medium, and low-end, which makes the US even more uneasy. Therefore, the US not only wants to strengthen the development of its domestic high-end semiconductor manufacturing industry and bring related industries and international well-known enterprises back to the US, but also wants to withdraw the low and medium-end electronic semiconductor manufacturing industry from mainland China. In the past 2 years, Southeast Asian countries have taken over some of the chip packaging and testing from mainland China, as well as EMS orders for consumer electronics devices. In fact, in today's global industrial landscape, it is very difficult for the United States to control high-end, mid-range, and low-end semiconductors, and it will produce many side effects, even backfiring on itself. Firstly, many American, Korean, Japanese, and European chip and semiconductor equipment companies originally had a lot of business in China, with considerable revenue. The various restrictions imposed by the US government have significantly reduced their income. As a result, in recent years, the US policy of suppressing China's electronic semiconductor industry has been difficult to fully implement, and has failed to achieve their expected results. Secondly, there is the issue of cost. The cost of building a wafer fab in the US and operating it long-term is several times higher than that in mainland China. Although the US CHIP Act provides a subsidy policy with a total amount of nearly $40 billion, this money may seem like a lot, but the US has also set up multiple restrictive clauses for these companies, which include: according to the CHIP Act, companies that want to apply for government subsidies must share the cost of local factory workers and employee childcare expenses, as well as share excess profits. In other words, if the company performs well, the excess profits must be shared with the US government. This clause is the most concerning to companies, and if the sharing ratio is too high, it may affect their willingness to apply for subsidies from the US government. In addition, the latest regulations require the submission of detailed revenue and profit forecasts for newly established factory areas, as well as commercial secret information such as monthly production capacity and product prices. It can be seen that for companies building factories in the US, various visible and hidden costs have greatly increased. How much subsidy does the US government need to provide in order to make up for these holes and make it sustainable in the long run? It is difficult to calculate, and the government is not able to support it for a long time. Therefore, under the coercion and enticement, foreign companies have become tools and transitional sacrifices for the development of the US domestic semiconductor manufacturing industry. In addition to the above side effects, US policies to suppress China's mainland electronic semiconductor industry may also backfire on itself. In fact, after the US proposed the CHIP Act in 2021, semiconductor industry-developed countries and regions such as Europe, Korea, and Japan have successively launched new policies for their local semiconductor industries. This is not a coincidence. While catering to the US policy on China's semiconductor industry, various countries are also guarding against the future of the US. The important reason for this is to leave some room to maneuver and increase their own competitiveness. Because under the current US CHIP Act, the relevant governments and companies in Europe, Korea, and Japan have become tools for revitalizing the US domestic semiconductor manufacturing industry. Once the relevant industrial chain in the US develops, the value and competitiveness of Europe, Korea, and Japan will be greatly weakened or disappear. At that time, they will lose the initiative. In this situation, the US is objectively cultivating more potential competitors for itself, and future industrial competition may be even more fierce. The US will not only face China. Faced with the US policy of suppression, the mainland China's related industries are also facing unprecedented challenges. For example, Huawei smartphones have seen a significant decline in their market share in the high-end smartphone market due to the inability to obtain orders for advanced process chips from TSMC. Huawei could have overtaken Apple, but now it has fallen out of the top 5 globally. The inability to purchase high-performance chips from US companies, such as Nvidia, has also affected the development of high-performance computing and AI systems in mainland China. In addition, the inability to purchase advanced semiconductor equipment has delayed the development and capacity construction of some local wafer factories. However, while being constrained, local enterprises have also seen more development opportunities. Whether it is semiconductor equipment manufacturers, wafer foundries, or high-performance computing chip companies, they have all achieved rapid development in the past 2 years. The huge local market has given them unlimited development space, which provides a rare opportunity for the benign development of the local semiconductor industry chain and ecosystem. The central government's policy of the Big Fund can also be adjusted to focus more funds on internationally influential leading enterprises, especially in the areas of wafer foundry, packaging and testing, and semiconductor equipment. As long as the leading enterprises in each field achieve key breakthroughs, they can drive the rapid development of the entire industry chain. Local chip companies have also made progress. For example, in the MCU field, they have formed increasing pressure on international giants such as TI, ST, and Renesas. It is hoped that in the near future, China's chip industry will be like today's automobile industry. Although there are still many problems with local car manufacturers, overall development has taken place, bringing great impact to foreign and joint venture car companies, and benefiting consumers the most. Consumers now have greater choice and can purchase higher configured, higher technologically advanced, and more comfortable cars at more affordable prices. Well, thanks for your watching, and please be free to put your comments below and share your insightful ideas. Please keep following our channel and like our videos. I am Tech Teller, the person to tell you the opinions that worth spreading every day. Thank you so much for your continuous support. Your precious time with us is highly appreciated. See you.